What is the stock market doing? So many people are wishing for stronger prices, expecting that the market is coming to the year's end rally, which is quite typical, especially for the last weeks in the year. Typically, the market is gaining, and we had some good chart technical situations as well, at least in some markets, for example, in the Dow Jones. But in others, it was not so clear. However, the market turned around and gave us some disappointing situation here. But let's check it a little bit closer. Let's check different markets, especially the US and Asian markets. So stick with me and see what is happening here. Yeah, as I mentioned, the market disappointed with a strong movement to the downside. Let's start with the Dow Jones. In this case, it's YM. You can see here, this is the symbol. It's the March contract, which is the E-mini Dow future here, and is a typical thing you can trade. Of course, depending where you are living, you can choose other contracts. For example, in Europe, you have CFDs, you have maybe options as well. You can have different things, warrants, whatever you like to trade. However, it is quite important to see what the market situation is to get your own trading idea running. So you can see by my old drawing, I did not delete it so far, you could see that we had a strong movement to the upside, which is a typical 5-wave pattern to the upside. We had some breather here, we had some pause here as well, strong before, strong in the middle, strong at the end. Yeah, well, it's not super strong here, but it can be something like an ending diagonal, something like this, which is leading us to the conclusion that the market is now, after that, in a correction, or was in a corrective pattern, which we had good indication here in this part of the chart. We were down nearly 38.2%, which is a typical setback for second wave here in this case. And then we should expect another continuation to the upside. And some people were entering the market long here. This is a typical indication when the market is breaking through this level, which is a trigger in our eyes. In this case, this was not as nicely seen. You can see I like to have some ABC pattern here. It is here. Of course, you can in the aftermath think, yeah, okay, maybe it is something like this. But to be honest, I don't prefer things like this very much. When this is like this, I prefer a clear shape for an ABC pattern over this, maybe more unclear defined break here in the down movement. Anyway, if you have been long here in this point, you have been disappointed. Don't worry about this so much. Many people are saying, yeah, you can see chart technical situations are not, or chart technicians are not able to see the future. And I have to confess, yes, I'm not able to see the future. I have just an idea what the market can do. But the promising situation here is not knowing that a break through this level here, through this level, is giving us a 100% chance that this is happening. The great benefit is when the market is continuing, you have this size for profit run, because typically this is the same length. So you can expect something, no, not starting from here, but starting from here at that point here, that you can get this. But you don't want to have a lower price here, so you are risking this. So it is not like knowing it definitely will rise, it is definitely gaining to this level. It is more like the chances are quite well. And you can enter the market here expecting some profits like this, or some losses roughly like this. So that's the beauty of the chart. It's not like exactly knowing what the future is bringing, but to have this risk-reward ratio, which is clearly, strongly into our favor and giving us the opportunity to enter the market here in this situation. We did not, because I was not super satisfied with this situation. In this case, it was luckily, but it just a little bit like more like this ABC behavior, and it would have entered the market here at that point. It is just a small difference. If you are feeling not comfortable and saying, yeah, but this is, if you don't know and you think this is a corrective pattern and it looks preferably like a corrective pattern and you're entering here, you have still this opportunity, big profits against small losses. And even if chances may be only 40 to 60%, you have this size 40% and this size 60%, you will still have a solid profit with your trading. And it's not given that this is the percentage. It can be way better to our favor, but in this case, wherever it did not turn out like we wished for. However, is this situation over? Is the chance of gaining prices over with this situation? Not necessarily. We can still expect that when the market is giving us something like for example, an ABC pattern here, or is giving us something like a strong recovery here with a corrective setback here, that we can still enter this, because the overall situation is not necessarily done. There's still a chance that this is the first movement to the upside. We are currently in some kind of a corrective pattern. As long as we are overshooting intermediate highs, or if you don't want to wait for this break here, if you see something like a strong movement here and a shaky movement here to the downside, you can still enter to the long side and expect that roughly the same thing here will happening here. Seasonally wise, this would be really typical, because the last 2 weeks in the year are normally strong weeks. Especially for the stock market, it was not so strong in the last 5 years, but if you have the overall picture, Dow Jones for more than 100 years, the statistics and the seasonality, or in other charts, 50 years, 30 years, depending on the length or the lifetime of the index, then you should expect that the market is most probably gaining. Currently, it's not giving us a sign to do that. Because if you see this in a 15-minute chart, you can see until now, this is not a strong market. But breaking through intermediate highs and giving us a strong picture in a smaller time frame could be a really nice starting situation to enter the market, like we've mentioned here before in the big picture. You can use, of course, these levels here, or you can use the smaller levels here to enter the market long. I'm still with a bullish picture. Only when the market from this point here is coming up in a shaky way to the upside. Shaky is always ABC, or you can see something like ABC is always counter trend. And breaking through this level, so breaking through this level. Don't think, I'm here, this is an ABC, I can sell short here at that point. No, please don't do that. Because when the market is continuing, you're on the completely wrong side in the market. Wait until confirmation. And confirmation is the break through the intermediate low here, the ABC pattern here, the B point here is giving us an indication. So it's exactly the same idea, but into the other direction. So the only point is to check where's the strong movement, where's the weak movement, and when breaking through the intermediate high in the weak movement, take the continuation and stay here for a while. What can we expect when the market is doing this? Then you can easily check, this is the first part, definitely the first part. This is the second part. So we have a strong idea that this is giving us a good indication for at least reaching these levels. Of course, it is not it is not given that this level here is not out of range anymore, but I think currently the chances are way better that the 33,000 level is not something we should reach soon. So this picture here seems not the most favorite one, so please don't be scared by this one. And even reaching this level, until now, it's not the preferred picture, because the last stronger movement was this one. So even when the market is doing something like this, I would expect that the market will later continue breaking this level, or on the lower time frame you see it's exactly the same situation. No matter where it is, whenever you see something like this, you can just enter the market after breaking these levels, and so on. You can just easily copy this to any market, to any time frame, whenever you like to trade this, knowing, that's really important, knowing that it's not 100% sure what the market is doing next, but you have the better risk-reward ratio and maybe a somehow balanced probability rate. Let's say 50-50. Let's say even 40-60. But the risk-reward ratio is into your favor. So even having a lower probability, maybe you have a lower probability, but even then you're doing more profits than the size of the loss. So even then, you will be clear of big conflicts here in the markets. Of course, some trades will go negative, but the overall sum of 10 trades, 20 trades, 50 trades will be positive because of this relation. Okay, so that's the Dow Jones. Let's switch to the S&P 500. S&P 500 in this case is the E-mini future on traded on Globex. You can see this here. ES, it's the March contract. And so the same is here with this is a tradable contract. It's not the index in this case. And also here we had some strong setback here. The market was disappointed. However, this was in the wake of the Fed decision or the Fed announcement, let's say it like this. And this is in the aftermath. The market came down and says, yeah, okay, this is not looking super cool what we see here. And the market is coming down in a strong way. So roughly it's the same situation like in the Dow Jones. So it does not need any extra explanation. I think chances are also higher that at the very end we will continue to the higher grounds here, because this would perfectly fit into the big picture, in the very big picture, even the very big picture would fit very nice. And as long as the market is not going like this, which would indicate, this seems to be the stronger one, we could expect something like this. Of course, this can happen. If you see something like this, okay, please continue into the stronger direction, which is lastly this one. But when the market is recovering and giving us something like this and followed up by this one, I think it would be a good opportunity to enter the price here and not only expect something like a one-on-one to the upside, other than the downside. For the downside, I would normally currently expect more or less the same size like we have here to the downside. So I would not stay in the position for lower prices. Of course, the market can continue a little bit lower. It's not given that this is not happening, but the chances are quite well that this is roughly same sized. But to the upside, of course, the same rule applies. The same like in front will happening in the back here, but it is in favor of the big picture. So it is not necessarily important or useful to take profit here. It is useful maybe to stay in, or at least keep parts of the positions running for higher price levels, which is really typical in this situation, in the chart technical situation, and also with the seasonal aspects with gaining markets around this time normally. So what about the Nasdaq? And you can see the Nasdaq, also the future in Q is the Nasdaq 100 E-mini future here. You can also trade the micro one if you prefer. And this is also for March 2022. And the situation is roughly, no, it's not really the same. It's a little bit different rhythm here. You can see this is also the 5-wave move to the upside, which is really typical for a strong movement. And we had something like an ABC pattern here, a strong movement here. It was just reaching that level, falling back strongly. So this is not currently a long situation. But this happening from here until now, or maybe even a little bit later when the market is coming down again, I can imagine that this is happening again here. So the market is coming down a little bit lower again, and then will continue to the upside. So the overall estimation is roughly the same. The path the market went here is a little bit different. So you can see that this is something we currently expect that the market will take a little bit longer before continuing to the upside. So we see a strong opportunity here in this market as well, but maybe not at the very moment. We should not forget, for all the fundamental friends, the announcement that we have more or less 3 of interest rate hikes in the next year may pressure some of the, or give some pressure on the technical or the high-tech market, because they are a little bit more vulnerable for higher interest rates. So this may be some downer for this situation here. But even here, or even in this situation, what we had from this very point here, at that point here, this is an ABC pattern. And even the whole situation here is nothing, in no way looking like an impulsive move to the downside. So it is not really typical to expect a really strong movement to the downside here. Of course, you never know. There can happen anything, but the chances are way lower that we can expect some really, really strong movement like this. Maybe lower than this one, of course. It can even reach this level. But currently, I would not expect that the market is reaching or going below this level, which is roughly 14,400, 300, 400, 500, something like this. I would not expect that the market is going that far. Maybe 15,200, which is still a typical corrective pattern. This might be really possible. Absolutely. You cannot deny this and say, no, this will not happen. You can expect there's a chance that this will happen. But currently, I would not expect anything more than this one. I would expect that the market is following up the strong movement to the upside here in the wake of the current situation here. So let's leave the US continent. Let's move to the Asian continent and let's check the Nikkei, because many people are asking me, what is about the Nikkei? We have a good situation here, aren't we? So let's have a closer look. This part was great, and we had an ABC pattern here, and this is occurring like a typical strong movement to the upside, same like we had here before. Unfortunately, this is not fitting into the big picture, because when you see this bigger picture here, this is the daily chart. In this case, it's the index, it's not the future. You can see we had a strong movement to the downside. And however, this movement to the upside had a lot of overlapping. You can see here, even here on a lower time, not lower time frame, but in a smaller size maybe, we had some overlapping situation here. So I see the danger. It's not given, but I see the danger that this is a counter movement and this is a strong one. This is also a strong one. I'm not 100% sure what this is. And I see in the very big picture, this is a weekly chart, that we still did not reach, not nearly closely, or not vice versa, not even nearly the 38.2 level here with the Fibonacci's. I would expect normally that the market is coming to this level first before moving to the upside again and following up this strong movement we've seen here before. No matter what it is, normally the market should move into this area. This is giving me way more confidence when the market is doing that, than the market in the wake of that will continue to higher grounds. So I'm not super confident with the bull market currently, and this one is also indicating why is the market coming back so strongly? I would be quite super confident when the market is giving me something like this and an ABC pattern here. I would definitely go long at that point, because most of the time this is giving me the better opportunity here. Especially because this is not only giving me a good trade in this time frame here with a really short or a small profit here, but still the risk-reward ratio is quite well. But also letting me expect that this will continue, so we could expect in this case that the market is even reaching this level or even higher ground. So we have way better maybe risk-reward ratios even when we get this one here. But unfortunately, the market did not do that. The market came down strongly, so currently the Nikkei is out of my focus in the lower time frame. The bigger time frame, I'm still waiting for something like this. I would like to see some setbacks into this range here. This is giving me a little bit more confidence that the market will continue in a big picture here to the long side. And last but not least, let's check the Seng. No, I have not been in Europe. Of course, we will continue with the European stocks, of course. But last but not least, in Asia, we have something like the Seng. This is the index here in Hong Kong. And this index reached some supportive levels here. You can also see we had this intermediate low here, which all of these lines, please don't overestimate one line. None of this line is giving us a clear indication that the market needs to turn. But this one, and the 78.6 Fibonacci, and the green line is something like a projection of older setbacks here, so to have a clue with symmetry. We have some levels around here which are indicating, the market has a chance to turn around. Let's have a closer look now whether the market participants are taking this chance, turning around, or not. This is really a nice situation. You can also see we have some blue bars here, which is called the BORN bar, which is something like a trading signal for us. Typically, when we have something like this, the market turns or tends to turn. You can see here the market was turning here. It did not work very well. The market turned a little bit later, but here it was turning, or you can see this in lower time frames as well. Here you have one as well. If you have something like this, this is an indicator for turning. We also trade this one. You can see here some levels. If you're interested in things like this is called the BORN bar. We announced trades like this in BORN-4-Trading. If you're interested in this one, please drop a note, a comment here below the video here in YouTube, and I will give you some information, some extra information where you can get more details for this if you want to follow this and if you want to trade this trading ideas as well. We give our approved setups which we trade, which we think are good to the world. So if you like to have this service, ask me and I can give you some access on this. So these are the Asian ones. Currently, it's a chance that the market is turning. At the very moment, you see the charts before the weekend, you can see the market is not turning so far. So it would be a little bit early to enter the market. I normally suggest to wait for a break through this level here, for example, or when you see that the market from this lowest point here is coming down in a strong move and a shaky movement to the downside, then you have a good chance on a lower time frame as well to enter the market when plunging through the, not plunging, triggering this level here and going to the upside, not to the downside in this case. So this is the Asian market. Before we end, let's have a closer look to the German market as well. Maybe we can see something with the German DAX, for example. In this case, it's also the future contract, FDAX, also the March contract here in this case for next year. And you can see that we had some movement to the downside, but if you compare this one with the preceding or the market we had here before, you can see which one is the stronger. Yeah, I would say this one is the stronger. So normally I prefer that the market will continue to the upside. In this case, the downside of this idea is that these levels here are lower than this level here. And I don't like overlapping situations. You can see we had this one, this one, this one. So this is giving me a little bit of a bad feeling about this trading situation. I'm not 100% feeling comfortable with this. However, this down movement here, the trend channeling here to the downside, is not giving me the feeling that currently being short is the best option. So I would not search for short situations very often. In this case, I would hope for a continuation to the upside. So if you're a short-term trader, maybe you can check the market. If the market is giving us this opportunity here in the early hours on Monday, for example, you can expect that the market will continue and overshoot this level at minimum. This is a short-term trade, I know that. To be honest, I'm not absolutely convinced what the market is doing now, because the last in the daily chart is a strong movement here to the downside. Now the market is coming up and you can see this is a three-wave pattern or something else with overlapping situation, which more or less is something corrective. So I'm not 100% convinced that the market is directly moving to the upside. So I would prefer some other markets. Currently, most of it's the American market. I would prefer, because there, I think, especially the Dow Jones, it can be when the market is triggering the long side as or the upper side, then you can see that a continuation is perfectly fitting in the big picture, which is not 100% the same here with the DAX in this case. So what I want to keep in mind here is that currently the bullish side is the better one. On the other side, it's not 100% clear. I would not be surprised when the market is once more falling below 15,000, but currently I would not bet for this. I would not go short because this does not seem to be the better side in this case. And so I think switching to the DAX, as long as the market is staying above this green line here, which is representing the same size of a corrective pattern here and here, roughly the same size. As long as the market is staying here, the big picture, the big bullish picture is not hurt in any way. It is still valid. Only when the market is coming near or below this level, and exactly when the market is going here, then I think that the bullish market has the best chances to be over and we can expect more. But currently, don't worry too much about this situation. If you're a long-term investor, for example, if you're a trader, of course, currently, it's maybe not the best chance to enter the market here. Maybe you get some opportunities here on a lower time frame. Then you can trade these. I think there's a good chance. So the last one for today is the Swiss market index, which I also like very much. In this case, also the future, the March contract. And you can see I've already drawn here some nice ideas for the bullish market. And it seems that what the market is doing here is something like a 5-wave pattern here in the first part. We had an ABC pattern here. Currently, it looks a little bit like a 5-wave pattern here again. And maybe currently we should expect some down movement here as well. But when the market is triggering this level here, we can enter the bullish side as well. So you can see that many markets currently are, the stock markets are still in a bullish mood. Especially the American markets and the European markets are indicating here some good ideas for the future. However, it is clear that the market participants were not super happy with the current situation, and beside of the typical seasonal situation where normally just buying in the last 2 weeks is the best opportunity you can have, currently they are a little bit afraid. However, I think the chances on the bull side are still there. Wait for a setback, wait for a break through this ABC pattern like I've mentioned before, and I think you will have good chances. So that's it from my side here from this part here in the indices. I hope you have good ideas out of this. You can use this. You can, of course, translate this to other markets as well. You can use it for the energy market. Maybe you should have a look at crude oil, for example, which looks quite nice with the same idea in a 4-hourly chart. You may find something like this. And of course, you can trade these ideas also for other markets, the FX markets, the commodities, whatever you like, or single stocks as well. So I'm crossing my fingers for you and your success. Next week is Christmas, so I cannot promise I will bring a video next weekend. However, I wish you a good time in front of the Christmas time and a good seasonal greetings from my side. I will bring some videos before the year's end, so you can expect some more content. Of course, I'm always hoping to support you as well as possible. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you are interested in the BORN bars, for example, or BORN-4-Trading service, just leave a comment below and I can give you some details how to get this. So in this case, have a good time. Merry Christmas to all of you.